channel. My name is Rachel Banks, and I plan to bring you beauty to beauty. Okay, guys, so I'm about to make me some peri peri fish. And my fish of choice is tilapia. You could definitely use whatever fish or seafood that you like. I am going to have a video coming up fairly soon on some peri peri chicken, because I do it a little differently when I cook my chicken versus when I cook my seafood. So stay tuned as we get started cooking this fish. So the first thing that I want to add to my pan, which is pretty hot, is this extra virgin olive oil. And I love this olive oil. I get it from Trader Joe's. It's pretty inexpensive. I think I spend about $7.99 for this big bottle. Okay, so to that oil, I'm going to be adding some bell peppers, green onions, white onions, and I'm going to just fry it up in this oil. Okay, so I'm not going to fry the vegetables too much because I still want a nice bite, a little crunch when I get ready to serve it. I am going to be serving this fish over some jasmine rice, and I'm going to pair it with some spinach. I'm going to show you my technique on how I like to cook my spinach whenever I'm cooking fish. So I'll show you that. But right now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my fish because, again, I don't want my vegetables to cook down too much. I want them to have a nice crunch to them. Okay, so here's the tilapia pieces that I'm going to be using in this dish. And my tilapia is already clean, and I tried to pat it down dry as much as possible. Extra liquid just makes it kind of like fall apart, in my opinion. Although I do sometimes have trouble with fish anyway falling apart, because I'm one of those people that's kind of like always anxious when I'm cooking my fish, and I sometimes flip it too soon. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to lift some of these vegetables, or move some of the vegetables so the fish can actually touch the skillet so it can get a nice crust on it. And then I'm going to start seasoning my fish. So to my fish, I want to add some thyme, some dry thyme. If you have fresh thyme, you can use fresh thyme. I'm just going to use some dry thyme because that's what I have on hand. And I love thyme, so I'm going to use quite a bit of it on my fish. I'm just going to open the top and smell like a lot of thyme. Yes. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to add is some black pepper. Okay, and then I'm going to add some sea salt, some coarse sea salt. Okay, and then I'm going to add my peri peri seasoning. So here's the peri peri seasoning that I use. I keep it in a Ziploc bag to try to keep it as fresh as possible, although this is a resealable bag. And this is what the seasoning looks like. And on the back, it just tells you that it's chili pepper, paprika, a different type of pepper. I don't want to butcher the name. I'll try to put it in focus so you can see. just different type of peppers. It has turmeric in it, which I love, onion, garlic, ginger, African nutmeg, lemon, salt, and yellow maize. So it does have a little bit of salt in it, but I still like to add my own salt. And this is how much of the peri peri seasoning I like to add. Now, I did order this particular batch of seasoning off of Amazon, so it came in a pouch. Usually, I get it from my local grocery store, but I'm not running out to the grocery store like that. So, it typically comes in a regular seasoning jar when you buy it from the grocery store. Okay, so the next thing I want to add is my African palm oil. So my red palm oil. This is going to add color and so much flavor to my fish. And I just put it on top like that. Okay, last but not least, I wish I had added this sooner. I almost forgot to add my garlic. So you need garlic. You know what? In fact, yeah, I'm going to add some garlic. I was going to say I could add some garlic powder, but I want to add some minced garlic. And when I don't have any minced garlic, I definitely use garlic powder. You can use fresh garlic as well. I'm just going to see how I move my fish too much sometimes when I'm cooking it, but I'm going to let it stew down or cook down in all of this great seasoning. When I flip it over a couple of times, the seasonings are kind of mixed together. So I only season one side of my fish. That's why you saw me pack on so much seasoning. I only season one side of my fish. When I move it around, the seasoning will move around with it. And you can see this is the reason why I didn't want to cook my vegetables too much, because it's got to cook with the fish and I don't want it to break down too much. So I'm just going to let this cook down for a little bit. Okay, so the fish is starting to turn white on the other side. So this is the perfect time for me to flip it. Just rest in my hands. And hopefully, it's falling apart a little bit. So it gets so tender. It starts to fall apart. And you see how like all of the seasoning is kind of mixing around. Once I flip it one more time, you'll have seasoning, but you can almost see like some of the seasoning covering one of the pieces of fish. So as I continue to flip it, the seasonings will move around. Okay, and while it's simmering down, when I flip the fish and it kind of tears apart, or any pieces of it get stuck to the pan, I'm kind of okay with that, because I'm going to take the fish out. I'm going to put it in aluminum foil, and if my oven wasn't on, I would put it in my oven on warmer. But since my oven is on and warm, I'm going to put it in aluminum foil. I'm going to put it in a hot spot on my stove so it can stay warm while I cook my spinach. And what I like to do is I like to cook my spinach and all of the stuff that's stuck into the pan, and it adds so much flavor to the spinach, so much flavor. So it's almost, I forgot, I don't know, it's not deglazing, I don't know what you call it, but anyways, I'm going to add my spinach, and any little chunks of fish that's stuck, any little like of the crusty stuff that's going to be stuck there that's good and delicious and packed with tons of flavor, is going to mix in with my spinach. So again, I'm going to be pairing this peri peri fish with spinach and some jasmine rice. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the jasmine rice, I'm going to put it on my plate, and I'm going to show you all of this. I'm going to put the fish on top, and then I'll have the spinach on the side. But all of that flavor from the fish, it's almost like having a fish bouillon, a peri peri fish bouillon for your spinach. It's going to be so good. So I'm going to get ready and flip this fish in a second to kind of get the seasonings all on both sides of the fish. Okay, so I'm about to go ahead and flip my fish. Look at that. Ooh, look at that. Looks so yummy. And let me tell you, I used to make a see how this broke apart. But like I said, any of those little pieces, I'm not gonna scoop all the fish out. I'm gonna try to scoop out as many pieces of the big chunks out and leave some of the little pieces in there for the spinach. But when I first did my fish dish, which I'll show you guys, I did like a stewed fish, and I used spinach right afterwards and fell in love with letting the little bits that are stuck in the pan get in the spinach. And then I found red palm oil, and it adds so much flavor, color, and depth to the fish. It's like amazing. So I love cooking my seafood now in red palm oil, especially when I'm cooking peri peri fish. And this fish is flaky, falling apart, and done. So I'm going to get ready and take this out. Okay guys, so before I take it out, I'm going to add some parsley to it. The parsley is just going to add flavor, color. Makes it nice and pretty. It looks like it's a lot, but by the time I scoop it all out, the parsley will mix around. But I love adding parsley for like color. But look at that. Looks so delicious. And even like some of the vegetables and stuff, I'm gonna let some of it stay in the pan to go with the spinach. So this fish is done. Yummy. So you see all these bits and stuff that's at the bottom of the pan? I'm gonna leave that in there, and I'm just gonna add my spinach. And I am using a frozen spinach. And I did let it thaw out so that the cooking time is not as long. So I'm just gonna add it thawed some. You can see, not like a hard big chunk. Okay, so you see how the pieces of the of the fish and stuff is starting to work itself into the spinach. That's what I want. So to this, I'm going to add some garlic powder, some butter. I am going to add a little bit of liquid to it so that it can kind of cook down and pick up all the flavor. So right now I'm adding some garlic powder. I like a lot of garlic, so garlic powder. And then I'm going to add some sea salt and black pepper. So this is the sea salt. And the black pepper. Okay, and then one of my secret ingredients for spinach is adding a little bit of butter. So you know how you have like creamed spinach? It gives it kind of like that creamy taste without actually having to add all of that heavy cream. Okay, and now I'm just going to add a little bit of water just so the spinach can cook down and get all of that good flavor in it. You see how much I just added, just a little bit of water. I'm picking up all of the chunks of fish, the remaining vegetables, some of that remaining seasoning that's in there. Look how delicious the spinach looks so far. So I'm just going to let that cook up, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the peri peri seasoning is already spicy to me. It has enough spice in it with whatever peppers they add to the seasoning that I showed. But if you want to kick it up a notch, which I sometimes do, especially when I cook my chicken, which I'm going to show you that recipe because I do something a little different when I cook my chicken. But if you want to kick it up a notch, you can add some yellow habanero. And I have ground yellow habanero. Sometimes I do buy fresh habanero. But with this ground one, you need like the tiniest little bit just to add some additional heat and flavor. Because surprisingly, habanero peppers adds not only heat but lots of flavor as well. So let me, while this is still simmering, I put my rice. I use a frozen steamable bag of rice that I get from Trader Joe's. So while that is steaming up, let me get my plate ready to serve everything. Okay, so the liquid in the spinach is pretty much gone. So I am going to be serving up my dinner. And I did taste it just to make sure it was seasoned fine. I added just a little bit additional sea salt. But other than that, all of the seasoning in here was really, really good. And it does have a kick, like I said. And then here's the fish. Yeah, so here's the fish with the jasmine rice. And then you just put the spinach alongside it. Cut it off so that it's not burned. And here is the completed meal. Look at that. Look at all that, its flavor, seasoning. Very quick, easy meal. Okay guys, so hopefully you all really enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you like and share the video. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I don't know what you're waiting on, please subscribe to my channel. And to all my existing subscribers, I appreciate your support. Thank you so very much, and I will talk to you all soon.